Hey, Will, can you hear me?
Yeah, you're coming through.
Okay. And you got my screen share up.
Yep.
All right. Good afternoon, everyone. You got Will here. Oh man, my last name spelled wrong. Thanks. Thanks, guys. Oh, where are my pre-submitted questions? There's our channel. All right. Get all my stuff up. Hey, welcome everybody. As always, if you have any questions, you can ask them in chat and QA or just raise your hand. We do have a question from Sean here. I'll go ahead and allow you to talk, Sean. How would I determine if a request times out through a flow? If it does, what are some common errors and how can I fix them? You're making a connection to some other system, Sean? Like you making like a REST call or something? Oh, oop, thought I clicked the wrong person. Oh, good God, stop moving. The participant list is jumping around a bunch on me.
Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
So I just have a pretty, I guess, it's just a standard kind of issue of, I have a request and it's going through a flow, and it gets to this part where it needs to go through a set of approvals, right? And after one approver, say if they decline one of them, right? So it gets past approver number
Mm-hmm.
one. There's three approvers. Gets past approver number one. But say if approver number two declined, like rejects it, right? What it should do is it should go back and then they can make some edits and then send it through again, and it goes
Mm-hmm.
through the process again. But somehow, some way, it is being lost in that sort of process, and I'm not sure exactly in terms of like just being able to try to debug it and try to actually find where the issue is there. How would I guess, uh, what would be a good way on being able to test to see like um, where it would, I guess, time out? And if it is timing out in that place, then what are some, I guess, common ways I
But
can fix that?
you're just assuming there's a timeout of some kind because it takes a while?
Um, it was it's one that was just kind of reported that um that it was that that request in particular gets lost somewhere. So it gets rejected and then
Mm-hmm.
nothing really comes from it. It's not like it goes to like a done path or anything. It just kind of almost like vanishes within thin air. And I'm not too sure as to uh what are some, I guess, common, I guess, debugging
Yeah,
like.
I'm not sure. I mean, basically anything could be happening, right?
Mhm.
Um, I mean, the flow engine doesn't time out. Like you might be hitting an exception, right, with the catch exception step, and it could be. Yeah, I don't know what your exception handling might be, but you might want to check there or ensure you have good exception handling. Because if you don't have any exception handling and you've hit an error, then the flow will appear to just disappear.
I see.
Um, you can use log steps to figure out where the flow has gotten to, right? Put the flow
That,
tracking ID or something in a log step and see to try to track its process through the runtime.
yeah, that was one thing I was going to try to end up doing was putting in a log step, just probably like just a series of almost like log steps throughout, just to try to see exactly where it's, I guess, or kind of what data is being passed and what data is not being passed, and where exactly it is losing it within the flow. Um,
Yeah, but
but
I'm not sure how detailed on the terms of your advice there. I'd see if there's any error messages. Is it a process folder?
um, no, it's a subflow, is what it's kind of just running through. It's just running through a subflow and
with assignments.
yes.
Those assignments aren't part of a process folder.
Um,
I mean, you could check, you could find one of those assignments in the database, right? One of the ones that you think is lost and pull its flow tracking ID.
oh, okay, I see.
And here, one of these properties is flow tracking ID, I think. Yeah, and then if you could pull this, I don't have any assignments on my local, pull the flow tracking ID out of here.
Mm-hmm.
And then go to flow management. So system administration, system tools, flow management, and put that flow tracking ID here.
Mm-hmm.
And
Okay.
then figure out what step it's currently stuck on here. That'd be one way. Put that flow tracking ID in here. This report filters off the selection here. And then you could see where the saved data is currently is at.
Okay, actually, this is actually probably what I needed. Can you show me exactly how you actually do that? Going back to the I guess query that you were just at.
Yeah, just go to the query editor, other query editor. This is a right-click context on any designer folder.
Right.
And then you just select from the entity underscore assignment table.
Entity
And the property you're looking for is flow tracking ID.
So is the entity assignment, would that I guess change from here, or is that just like a general decision? So
This is a default decisions table. All
Okay.
assignments get saved here.
Okay, I see. So I would click on the I guess would I click on the right click on the I guess project folder, or right click on the um
You right click on any designer folder
oh
and go to other and
okay
then query editor.
okay, I see. Okay, perfect.
Yeah, I'd start there, see if you can find it in this flow management report here on system administration, system tools, flow management.
Perfect. Okay, I will start with that. I think that's actually the answer I was looking for. Perfect. Awesome. Thank you very much. Appreciate
Okay,
it.
you bet. All right, and then we've got Ryan McKenna here. Hello, I have a question regarding integrating a Google Calendar form into a decisions form where I already have the Google Calendar form embedded in the decisions form. However, I'm trying to get it to where when a customer does not book an appointment yet on the calendar, they will not be able to submit the decisions form.
Hello.
So you've embedded like a link to Google Calendar like in an HTML control on a form.
Yes, sir. So basically, I've excuse me, that's Tourette's. I've embedded an iframe. At least my supervisor has helped me embed an iframe code into this form, one of the forms, and basically I'm trying to sorry about that. Anyways, I'm trying to excuse me, sorry. What I'm trying to do is that I'm trying to book in what the other organization wants me to do is that they want me to book an appointment on this calendar and run it through decisions, and they would like me to run it through decisions, and so I've already thought of some workarounds around it, like some possibilities if this doesn't work out though. But what I would originally like to do is like I said in the question, sir, is the basically if you could if you know like after like they submit a form or after they submit a appointment within the calendar, if you know like beforehand if they can't submit the form, but hopefully that clears some things up.
Uh, it, I don't think that you can't just because you embed something in an HTML control doesn't mean like the workflow has access to it in any way.
Yes, sir. That's what I was thinking. Yeah, I just wanted to make sure though. But is there any way that I can show you what I've done?
Unfortunately, we can't do screen shares on these lunch and learns.
It's all good. It's all good. So basically, I'm thinking of a workaround. Um, sorry for this going on and on, sir. I just excuse me. But well, I'm thinking of a workaround where instead of having to do that, I'm gonna talk to the other department of the organization where they have to like where instead of having to do that, they have to put the customer has to put their like electronic signature at the bottom, like where it tells them, they can't submit it unless they, they because it shows like whenever they book the appointment, it shows their name and like it already auto populates their name, and everything into the Google
Hmm.
Calendar. So like after that, um after they submit the Google Calendar, they would have to put their name in decisions um at the bottom, and it would populate in the database. Is my thinking that'll probably be a good workaround.
I mean, you can do that, sure. You can capture like there's a signature pad control. You
Oh,
can have
I mean,
someone enter in that information and take that in. I don't know what the output type of that is off the top of my head.
because I was just oh sorry, sir. I was
No,
just thinking
go ahead.
about oh sorry.
No, please finish your thought.
Yes, sir, of course. So I was thinking about I was just thinking about like after the person, submits the calendar just says required field to please type your full name in the box below after submitting it, and then they have to just
Hmm.
type in their full name, and it'll submit to a database, saying to the organization that this person, typed their name in and then
Hmm.
submitted this form.
I mean, that sounds like something that is doable just with text box with a text box on a form.
Yes, sir.
Um, but yeah, I mean, if you do have the ask, you're probably looking at something like a JavaScript control to try to do what you're talking about here, which does require a little bit of coding. But if
Yeah,
you were to look in our doc site for JavaScript control, ultimately, not your signature idea, which is fine. You can just take in data and save it to the database. Of course, that's very straightforward to do.
yes,
But
sir.
like if you need to have someone make a selection for a calendar appointment and then prior to submitting the form, if you need something like that to be done, you're probably looking at getting a JavaScript control created. Now,
Okay.
this is something y'all can do yourselves, or we could put together some sort of statement of work to do on your behalf if this is a hard requirement. Um, I don't think you're going to
Okay.
be able to just do that out of the box, though.
Yes, sir. So, um, like, how would I get you got back to you guys on this about this?
Yeah. Who are you with, Ryan?
I'm with Georgia Southern University.
Oh, I see. Then let me ask your customer success manager to reach out to you about
Yes,
that.
yes, of course. So, do you need their email?
No, I got all that information here.
Oh,
I think it's Caitlin. I'll reach out to Caitlin and ask her to follow up with you.
yes, of course. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, excuse me.
Okay. Yeah,
I
I
appreciate
think,
it so much.
yeah, you bet. Happy to try to help there.
So, what you're saying, sir?
No, that's it.
Oh, well, I appreciate your help, sir. It means a lot.
Okay. Yep. You're welcome. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Then we've got Jen up here. I have a truth table that returns an object type like this, key one true, key two false. How can I parse this object and build an array with object property names? So who values are true only. So you need to filter the output output collection from a truth table to only give you results where a certain property is true.
Yes. So the output is is a like we have like multiple columns at output. So each column is like just a Boolean type true and false. So the output of that truth table is just basically an object with key value pairs like key 1 true, key 2 false, things like that. So I just need like something that I can parse to filter that object and get those key names with true value only, with Boolean type as true only.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if we are, let's create a quick truth table here. I think the thing you're gonna be looking for here is a rule collection
Okay.
filter. So let me just. So create a flow here. And in that flow, we'll put a truth table. And we'll create a truth table here, regular truth table. And let's create an so let's see, we'll go ahead and create a flow structure to hold our output type. I'll just call this
Okay.
test type 1, and I'll give it 2 properties, str1 and str2.
Mhm.
Then I come into my flow and I will create my truth table here, set up some input data. I'm just gonna say, I'm just gonna create some garbage input called str1 here. Right, and then str1, you know, say starts with, we'll add a few rows. To give us 2 results, I guess. And we'll edit our output data here to change this to the type we just created, test type 1, right there. And then we'll define str1 would be, I'll just use hello and world here.
Okay.
And then this would be goodbye world. And then this would be hello world. Oops. And so what I can, so I have this truth table. I'm sure, assuming this is maybe somewhat similar to what you're doing, where you have some kind of
Mhm.
object coming out of your truth table.
Yeah.
And so we want, we're going to run a test where both rows, actually, I guess this should be different, right?
Yeah.
Maybe,
I
let me
think
make this.
most likely our use case is just like 1. Yeah.
But let's just, this, all right. And then what we're going to do is we're going to save this. And we're gonna, let's just create a piece of input data on our flow here. Let's map that to our truth table. And then what we're gonna do here is search collection. And we're gonna find the rule collection filter step. And we're gonna put this
Okay.
after our truth table here. What I'm
Oh.
gonna do is I'm gonna pass in the collection from the
Mhm.
output of my truth table. You can see it's that test type 1 and it's an array here.
Okay.
And then this step gives me a special rule that I can access from the property grid. I'm going to edit
Got
this
it.
rule. And if I come in here, there's this thing called entity, and you'll see entity is a single object of the
Mhm.
truth table result. It's done that mapping for me automatically. And I'm going to
Okay.
write str1 equals hello.
Okay.
Right. And so this is
Got it.
going to loop through that collection, find every record that matches this. And then based on the settings here, it's either going to return matches, return all, or return non-matches, whatever the logic I want to have there is. And then I can
Okay.
run this. And then if I were to run this and give it hello and run, I'll see if I look at my input output data from my truth table, hello world is going to come back from here.
Okay.
And then if I look in here, it's going to be the same, maybe kind of a bad example to use. So there's hello, the same thing. If I just edited that truth table though, let's just make this last row not be hello, but I don't know, Jello,
Mhm.
right? And then I run that same test again. The truth table will output both results, right?
Yeah. Okay. I think I guess I get what you are trying to do. Yeah.
But now if I were to look at the inputs and outputs of the rule collection filter, only hello comes out. So
Yeah.
it's the combination of the rule collection filter and the truth table step in the flow allows you to return and filter the results.
Yeah. I think we're just looking for that step, the rule collection filter step. Yeah. I think I can just use another like step, like get properties from object to get those field names only instead of getting that as an object, because I just only want string 1 that key value, not that.
Oh, interesting. You want, so you're talking about like get data pairs for object?
Yeah, I see there's like get properties from data. Yeah, get
Yeah, I think it's
something
object
like that.
properties to data pair gives you a data
Yeah.
pair list, which should be the property name and its value.
Okay, I think
I'm not sure why you might need this
because
unless I misunderstand your example.
yes, there's some special use case in there. Yeah, but I think I can play with it, so I should be fine.
Oh,
So,
okay.
yeah.
Sure.
Thank you.
Oh, you bet. Happy to help.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. All right. That's the end of our pre-submitted questions. So, and chat questions. So if you have a question, please let me know. Again, you can just use raise hand and ask it. I'll mute you, or you can ask it in the chat, whichever is best for you. And okay, Nancy, go ahead. What do you got?
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Okay. So I have a case entity with a number of states that I go through. Like, it's started, which I have nothing there, then I go to a draft, and then I go to new, which is a trigger flow to route it to an unassigned queue. And then I go kind of into the next stages. And when I query the folder state table, it's not always like I can understand where it goes from nothing to draft, but then it's when I know the request is going through my new status to do a trigger,
Mm-hmm.
it's going from draft to unassigned, and it's basically not going in the order that I'm expecting it to, like as far as in that from state and to state. And I want to be able to use that to track the time spent in those, and then what's happening in those states.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if there's something I'm doing that I'm not doing quite right.
You're trying to track how long it was in a particular state for?
Yeah, so there's like the time spent in seconds, so I can see how long somebody's working on something, right?
Yeah, that's on the assignment, right?
Well, this is in the folder state, like how long something is in the folder state.
Mm-hmm. Like you're looking at the activity panel of your case, like the right-hand side where it shows you the activity, the comments, the documents and everything?
I'm actually looking at the underlying data in the folder state table for that record.
Interesting. Okay. Let's see here. Okay, state order completed. This has its time and state, started from, completed from time spent. Oh, interesting. Okay. Okay, so you're seeing, I didn't realize that we saved this here. So tell me again what you want to see but aren't seeing.
So I go so my record starts, right? I have nothing. And then my first state that I set is a draft. Okay, so I see that and I'm like, okay, from state to nothing. And then once I save that, I put it to entity state of new. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so in that, when it hits that new state, I have a trigger flow that will, basically, it's going to work its way immediately to unassigned. Okay. But it needs to do some stuff. And then from unassigned, I will go in and do something and that will put it to another state.
Okay, sure.
Okay. And so like I see it going from nothing to draft. Okay. And then it goes from started to new. So instead of it going like it's in draft state, right?
Okay.
I see it going from started to new. And then I see a record of it's going from draft to unassigned. And then in all that process, and then it has a new to no state. So it's like it's in new. It's just so. Is there to make sure that I'm tracking, because the other thing I have is where I caught this is that I have an assignment that I trigger in the analysis state, but then when I look at it, it's putting it in the unassigned state. So that's what triggered me to look at this and see what's going on.
But these states are getting moved because of like set state steps in your trigger flows, right?
Yes, or in a trigger or in a user flow. Yes, one of the two.
Mm-hmm.
Doing set states, set entity.
Right. Okay. And so it's the order of the states that is
It's just
like,
not. Yeah, so if you had started, let's say you had some other states in here, like some in between your completed and whatnot, right?
Yeah, okay. And you're expecting it to go in this order?
Well, I am in that because I'm putting it through that order. So I'm saying that, so when I start something, then I'll set it to draft.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm expecting it to go to draft.
Okay.
And then in that process for this particular record, I then, once I'm done with that, I'll set it to basically I set it to a new status after draft, because now it's okay, they're done working on it, and I can track how long it took them to get that work done by having it in that state. And then once it hits like a state before unassigned, I then basically put it through a trigger flow to go from that to then unassigned.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like instead, so if you put another state, add another state after draft, just so I can kind of walk you through it a little more. And just call that like some trigger flow. It's just going to be, it's going to have a trigger flow to push it to unassigned. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Where did that go? Weird.
Yeah, there you go. Fine.
Well, sorry.
Okay. And so then that one, so in that new state thing, that's just a trigger flow that literally just takes it and pushes it to unassigned. Okay.
So draft sets it to new state, and then new state has no user action. It's just a trigger flow with like a set entity step. It's like a set entity state step in it.
I'm keeping it very basic, yes, but there's more than that, right?
Okay.
So
but it no forms or anything, right? It's
no
just
forms. No forms.
Okay.
No forms. It's just trigger flow. Works great, right?
okay.
And then it sets it to unassigned, and then unassigned will, do some more stuff, right?
Okay.
But so when in my flow, I set it as a draft, right?
Mhm.
And then, so that's saved. But then when it gets to this new state where it just has a trigger flow,
Mhm.
it's in that record of the folder data. It's going from started to new and not draft to new, even though I've set it to draft and it's in there as in draft.
Mm.
And then it's
Okay.
going, and then there's another record of going from draft, skipping over that new state basically and going to unassigned.
And then the difference between new state and these others is that the other ones actually have assignments or some sort of pausing activity where users interact with them. And this one does not. Is that correct?
That new state does not. It does not have any pause. It's
Right.
It gets, as soon as it gets to new state, it runs through, a bit of activity. It runs very fast.
Mhm.
The start and end, like the started date time and completed end time.
Mhm.
is like the same, like it runs like.
Yeah, it's
minute-
probably, it's just immediately finished, right?
Yes.
I wonder if there's some kind of race condition here. That's causing it to show up oddly. Like you could just do a quick test, put like a delay step in your flow for like 10 seconds and
Okay.
see if that causes it to behave
Like
differently or not.
a pause, okay.
Yeah. And just have it slow down for a couple seconds and then just see. I'm guessing here, but
Okay.
it could be that a synchronous trigger flow is like one that just that fires off is getting recorded in like improperly. Now if that is true, then that's something that's a issue that we need to take on and support and get fixed. You shouldn't have to
I'll just-
forcibly slow a trigger flow down.
Oh.
But and I am just guessing a bit here. But it'd be
Pause.
worth a shot.
Pause. 2 seconds. Okay,
If that doesn't do anything, then we'd want to probably get that into support for them to try to look at for you to see. Because it does sound strange that it's the from and to states not being correct as they should be.
okay. All right, I'll try that with a 2-second pause.
The tally is also saying that you could just try to save the case in that new state as well.
Oh, I do. I do save
Okay.
that. So I put it to draft. And then because there's a part where I have to save the case and then there's more activity that happens. So I save it as draft. And then once they actually submit it, I then will save it as new if they've submitted it. So I put it to the new state with a set entity state.
Okay.
I'm doing a quick check. With the pause.
Yeah, set entity state is the same as set folder state. It just allows you to specify the ID of the thing that you're setting the state on. So you can use it. It's a generic set state step that just takes the entity ID in. As opposed to the kind of magic of some of the flow execution extension specific steps.
Oh, interesting. Okay. One thing that looked a little different. Huh. Mhm. All right.
While Nancy's checking this
Oh.
out, anybody have any other questions? Please let us know. Go ahead, Nancy.
Well, okay, so that I'd say it did a couple things differently. So it went from started to draft, okay? And then it didn't take from my draft to new, even though I set it to that state. And then then the next state is it took it from started to new. So instead of draft to new, it went started to new. And then I did get, and then it had draft. Let me see, 1233. From started to new. So it didn't take my draft state. And it still went draft to unassigned. It did do something different. Like it was a little different with the pause, but still not quite. Do I need to use the set folder entity instead of the, or instead of set entity?
No, there should be no difference there. That's the common, a common step. So I do think we'll probably need support's help on this, I think.
Okay,
I'm uncertain why you're seeing something different.
okay. It did get some slightly different results with the pause.
Yeah, uncertain why you're seeing that behave differently there. Any other questions from anybody today? Okay. And Nancy, any other assistance on that question I can provide?
No, I think I actually think now, I think with that 2-second pause, I think it's right now.
Oh, you think you said
Yeah.
with the delay it's behaving correctly?
With the delay, I think it's actually right now that I'm looking at it. Yeah. Yes.
Okay, well, great. So that's a product issue.
The funny thing it also did though is it put it in the last saved by. So before it didn't do the last saved by, like it kept it as me. But with the pause, it put that it was last saved by the system.
Okay, I see.
That was that's a
That makes sense, given the pause steps changing probably the context of the flow. You could try an actual delay step, see if that behaves differently. I don't know if it will. It might put it in system too. I do think we're probably going to need to get this. That kind of bears, I guess, that's expected. I think the fact that you need to do it is not expected. So that's something we need to get the dev team to sort out. Nancy, can you send me? Would you reply to or send a chat here so I can get your email really quick? If you don't mind, so I can ask support, so I can open up a support ticket to have someone track this down for you. I don't know that we can retain the last saved by and the state change without a code change right now, I think. There is some.
I mean, I think that, that's just something I noticed, but I don't know if that's a showstopper. I mean, I want it to go through the states and track that it's going through the right things. Okay. I do have one more question. I'm not sure.
Yeah, go ahead.
So, okay. So this question is related to dashboards. So now, for example, where you have their unassigned, right? In that or in that new state to where I take it to unassigned. And then, so then there's a step after that. So it basically kind of gets in, the record gets into the various queues. Okay. Based on a, you know, the line of business or something like that, right? And so then in the dashboard that we have, we want to be able to take that and like we want to use the same dashboard for our different lines of business, you know, but have it filtered on the queue of, you know, let's say if you had, you know, a store and you had a line of business of clothes versus you had a line of business of toys versus a line of business of food item, right?
Okay.
And so then if you had that and you, so in that new state to unassigned, it's unassigned, but in those different queues, okay? And there's people then who are assigned as analysts or managers to those different queues. Okay? So that if you're working on toy, if you're in the toy department, you're only seeing your toy requests. If you're in the food department, you're only seeing food requests. Okay. So in a dashboard where we have a number of reports and tiles of information, what would be the best way to have like, okay, you're pulling up dashboard and you're just getting your information that pertains to you or your team.
Now, are you assigned these tasks already?
No, so they're not assignments. These are not assignments. They will get assigned, but it's just a variable.
It's just like an entity or a folder with a property called like product type or something.
There is a in an entity in the case entity there is the, you know, it would be like their line of business, the food, the whatever, right? And then when they take the request, it's not an assignment to them, but it is that person has taken the assignment of that request, but it's not an actual assignment.
So there's different queues for line of business.
Yes.
And like there's different people working different queues.
Yes.
I mean, you can create probably a little bit of duplicate effort required here, but like you could create a dashboard, right? You'd have a folder here called, you know, like a food service. I'll just make a LOB, right? Just to make up a phrase here. And let's assume that I could create a report and I have a case here. And then on the case has a, let's say this is case says, well, I think I have a custom property STR1. Let's assume this is your line of business, right? Well, you could come in, add filters. You could say like where line of service, right, equals, you know, whatever food service, right? And then you do this you create a dashboard with a report for each of those. This isn't going to give me any data, but let's assume I was adding that filter to a report, and then I could create a page. I could put that report on a page, so I could start creating custom dashboard views. Right, I'll pick the report.
If I can ask you a question.
Please.
So if you had a number of departments, would you have to have a different dashboard for every one and then all repetitive, you know, reports? Or can I pass a variable that would then pull up and that would filter everything based on that? So it's not like a different set of reports and dashboards for every single department when it's exactly the same type of information.
You can, yeah, I mean, you can pass variables in the URL that reports listen to. So like, oh man, what's a good doc to show you that? Report filtering options during runtime. What is this? Is this just about rearranging? No, additional multi-select. That's not really. That's just using filters. Maybe it's child report. How about filter? Filtering the process map. Filtering reports via page control.
Hmm.
This is more of like creating your own custom. This is about creating your own custom filters. You can like you can have it be that it reads like the report. I can set this to get values from other reports, and I can make it listen to a URL parameter. So you could pass in, food service or things of that nature. Now someone could change that URL parameter at any time. So I'm not sure if that's meaningful, if there's a privacy concern here.
Could we pass in knowing that, what, to get something related to the group that they're assigned to?
Get the, so ask that again. I'm not sure if I'll.
So we've set, so if they have, so there would be a group in this situation I'm describing, which is not a real thing, but there'd be quote a food group. Like the group name would have food in it, in the name. Or the group name would have toys, or the group name would have apparel or whatever. So is there a way that we could pass that in and then get, knowing that that record is going to be assigned to food or clothes?
And then link it to the, yes, but you're probably looking at using like a flow reporting data source or something at that point, where you're using a flow to fetch data from like a view that you've created in the database. Like you join together your case to your group table to your account table or something.
Yeah, we don't want to do that.
I think you're talking about using a flow reporting data source for something to do that. I mean, you can definitely pass in report filters like in the URL, or you could you can use like inform session steps to pass report filters. That's one of the options as well here. If you were to create a flow here and find an inform session steps, you could have someone search for session, inform session. There's this special step here, and you can like navigate with custom parameters sent down. So you could pass in, you could do the lookup. You could have a button someone clicks to like go to their dashboard, I guess, when they log in, and then it could run this flow and do some lookups and then pass the right URL parameters in.
Okay. Okay.
That might be something, but then you don't really, then you're making them use a certain action after they log into the portal, which isn't ideal.
We have another thing that we do, and they don't actually have to hit a button. It just it runs the form. So if we can pass that out, I have a way to solve that part so they don't have to hit a button. And then we could pass out, basically do a lookup of their groups. And then pass a parameter to then what cues they get based on their group information.
Yeah, you could do that.
Okay. And that would be through you can back me up just a little bit. Okay. All right, that gives me an idea. And,
yeah.
All right. And then, so if we had, so in the process of logging in, or in this case, if they hit a button, they won't have to hit a button. We could then do some flow to get their cue, and then use that to know that, okay, you get food items or you get apparel. Okay, it gives me something to try. Thank you.
Okay, you bet. All right, and let's see, Jen had a follow-up question. What do you have?
Regarding that, the one we just talked about, I think it's the rule collection filter step. So when I play with it a little bit, so when I try to, because my requirements is like getting the key value, the keys in the object, which
Mm-hmm.
has a specific like rule condition. So in my case, it's just like true and false. But that rule collection only returns an object, so I still need to sort of wait only to grab those keys that meets a criteria. Yeah.
Okay, so you only
Yeah.
want only things that are true.
Yeah, for example. Yeah. For example, like I have like a key 1 true,
see.
key 2 false. I only need
Mhm.
key 1.
I think
Yeah.
what you're gonna do is something like this then.
Okay.
Oh, good Lord. Really? Wonderful. There you go. That's a wonderful issue I found there. I guess I will leave that rule collection filter step alone. Let's move this out of the way. So I think what you're going to do is something like this. Probably need to create a list of data pairs.
Okay.
This is kind of maybe here's data pair list, right? And then you do this, and then you for each your results, probably. I'm just guessing a bit here, so that's that. Then probably do object properties to data pair, right?
Okay.
So now each one of those you're gonna pass the object you're gonna pass in is like the item, right? Each one.
Okay.
And then you could find the ones that are you might I don't know if you can write a good I don't know if you can do a rule collection. You might you can definitely do a for each, right? And then some kind of check again. I'll just say equals.
Okay.
Or is true or something. Here's a string equals, right?
Mhm.
And then if it passes, you do like an add item to list step. So if it's true, add it to the list and be done.
Okay.
False, just go back. Done goes back to for each, and then for each kind of goes to your end step.
So
Some
there's like
nested for each loop here is probably
okay. So this is a okay for each step 1, step 2. So there is a 2 for each. But is that like for each step 1 will iterate that object returned by the truth table, the custom object? Like
yeah. So run the whole, get all the results, deal
Okay.
with each result one at a time.
Okay.
For the current object,
Got it.
get data pairs for that current object. Then here you would actually, the collection would be your object to data pairs list. Right now for that object, now loop, now you have you're iterating through the data pair, like, and I'd rename this thing like each data pair, right?
Okay.
Now checking each data pair, if its value matches, then you're going to add it to a list. If not, you're just going to end. You're just going to go to the next item. And that way you get data pairs for each item that's returned from your truth table, get those into key value pairs, and then pass out that list and then the list that you'd be adding them to, right, would be the data pairs list that you defined up here. And then probably pass out here your data pairs. And that way you can get all the true values only. Some version of this is probably what you're after.
Okay.
If you if you want to get a list of a particular property out of a list of a larger collection.
Yeah. I guess I will try to see if I can play with a little bit. So
Yeah, and then add on to list here, you would take each data pair, right? And then you'd do change value, and then you'd have data pairs. And
Mhm.
then here we would select, so what would we check? We would check to see if what, like each data pair, like name is str1, I think, right? Let's see, if I debug this, this should give me one result, maybe? I don't know if I set this all up right. Hey, there you go. Hello. Hello and Jello, because two results that have the same name, str1. Now I could switch that to look at the value instead of the name for the key value pair if you want to do the opposite. Like here, like here, not name, but value.
Is that data pair the one you define in the first steps, create data?
Mhm.
So that's a data pair, and you pass it into the truth table. So what is the truth table return output format? Is it?
It's that
It's
type
also
that we created
okay.
before. This is not related to the truth table at all. This step is here to just build an empty list. So
Okay.
once I get down to this point in the flow, I
Mhm.
can do, after my rule returns true or whatever, what my
Oh, it's
logic,
okay.
my conditional logic is passed, I can then add related data pairs into that list. It's just creating an empty list at the start of the flow for me
Okay,
to
so you're
use.
not utilizing that table at all. Okay.
Not until this step is hit, correct? And then it hits here, loops through, and then gets passed out to the end step.
Mhm. Okay. I will try and see. Yeah, let me play with it a little bit. So,
Okay,
all right, thank you.
all right, you bet. All right, anybody else have any other questions for us? What about using the rule filter? Oh, Jeremy's got a idea for you, Nancy, as well, which is looking at using rule filters. As long as those are not, those data sources are not significantly sized, that might be an override option. Those can have performance implications for larger data sets. There are some data size considerations there for rule filters, for better or worse. Yeah, I mean, like a rule filter runs for every record shown to determine, right? So if you put, 50 users on a dashboard that has a 500, that has 500 rows, you're doing 50 times 500, rule runs just to load that data. So there's just, you have to consider the fact, like the rule, like, the number of rule executions required to show the data. Does a new SQL filter check on account groups? I don't think so. I think it checks on account type. Let's see, SQL filters, current user. Yeah, it doesn't check on the groups, I don't believe. What's the other one? Yeah, current folder filter. What you could actually do though is maybe make multiple dashboards with have the folder name be the type too. So you have one report, just check you filter on its folder name. So you could have toys and food service be the folder name and have the reports filter off of that, given these SQL filters that Vitaly mentioned. That's a good thought to think through. But Vitaly, I don't think you can check the group list today using these. All right, and that's 1 o'clock. I got to jump. Talk to y'all same time tomorrow. All right, thank you, everyone.